Hi everybody, welcome to day one of what I'm calling a health maintenance protocol. So throughout this video, I'm going to go through, what I really mean by what is a health maintenance protocol. And I kind of made that up because I want to make sure this isn't a challenge, this isn't about weight loss, this isn't about a diet, or even, workout routines, nothing, right? This truly is about health maintenance, and I'll explain what that is. I'll go through kind of just a little bit of my background and how I got here and why I want to share this now. And then kind of your homework for the day, for the week, really, and next steps, and kind of what to expect going forward. So that's what we'll go through today. So health maintenance. Think about, we don't necessarily have much of a health maintenance protocol that we follow today, right? Other than, if you think about it, go to the doctor once a year, if we're lucky. It can be a frustrating process as well, but you really should go to the doctor once a year, get your blood work done, get whatever exams you need based on your age and your gender. And then basically they'll say, follow some good diet and exercise, right? Otherwise, there's really not much to a plan for us as human beings around how do we maintain our own health, right? So when you go to the doctor, think about it, they'll do the blood work, they'll check your skin, they'll run some basic exams, but ultimately they're looking for big issues, right? They want to make sure you have nothing going on that's going to seriously impact your health, and if you do, they'll try to find a way to treat it, right? So you need to go to the doctor. You want to make sure you're not running into something and they're seeing something in your blood that they could help to treat right away or prevent something going forward. So it's a good thing to go. What they really won't do much about, though, is when you have, minor day-to-day issues. Maybe you have some headaches on a regular basis, or, simple skin issues and whatnot. They might refer you to a specialist, or they might give you some medication or recommend some over-the-counter medication. But, for the most part, they're kind of looking for big ticket items. And if you do talk a lot about, other minor things that are going on, they might run a bunch of tests, and again, refer you to somebody else or refer you to some medication to handle those symptoms. But they don't necessarily have the time to spend with you to really understand what might be causing some of those underlying issues, or what's causing some of your symptoms that aren't big. And even with the big ones, frankly, sometimes they're not going to try to help you figure out what the root cause is. They just want to treat it, right? They want to treat that symptom that you're having or treat the disease and whatnot. And so we do need them. But ultimately, when you walk out of there, you might feel like you're pretty healthy, like they didn't find anything, my blood work's good. And you might walk out feeling pretty good that you don't have anything major to worry about. But ultimately you are really the only person who can determine, how healthy you really think you are. Based on how you feel, right? So, and that's, how you feel could be good, could be bad. And ultimately it's all relative to what do you want to achieve, right? So ideally all of us innately have a goal to be able to live as long as we can, as actively as we can, and as comfortably as we can. But we never necessarily write that down. We don't necessarily assess how are we doing in, relative to all that. Am I as active as I can be? And if not, why? What do I want to do differently? Or am I comfortable on a daily basis? Do I feel good? Or do I have to sit down? Do I have to take naps? Or, do I have to take some medication because I'm a little foggy, or I have a headache, or whatever it might be? Or do I have this, skin issue that keeps popping up and I'm itching constantly and I'm just putting as much cream on it as I can? Do we have things in our lives that are just annoyances on a regular basis? So if you do, would you say that you're healthy and that you're meeting your goals and where you want to go? So I think you have to think about how you might be able to do better. Or are you just going to live with that discomfort and write it all off to old age, as so many people do? It's, I'm getting older, it is what it is, I just have to deal with it. Or maybe you try to take a supplement, the supplement of the day, because there's thousands of them now out there, whether it's an actual, mineral supplement or vitamin or whatever it might be, or a new pill that's supposed to, take away all of your toxins and flush it all out for you. So you don't have to worry about, you can go ahead and put all the toxins in your body that you want to, because this will just take it away. Probably not a great idea, but I'm seeing pills like that out there all the time. And that's an easy thing to fall into. Like, oh, I have that problem. I get stomach cramps every now and then, and I get, don't feel good, not going to the bathroom really well. I'll just take that pill and that'll help me through it. Instead, we really want to make sure, I want to try to find out what's causing you to have those problems, not just cover up that symptom, right? If you think about it, you think about a car and the car's dashboard that has all these lights and indicators, right, that tell you that something's wrong with it. And what you immediately do is go try to find out what's wrong with it. You have them run a diagnostic, they find the root cause, they figure out there's some leak somewhere, and they fix it, right? So they fix the root cause of some indicator, some symptom that shows up to tell you that something's wrong. And you do that because you want to make sure you're safe. You're not going to cause an accident or be stuck on the side of the road. Yet there's a lot of those indicators in our own bodies that we may not like them. We cover them up with some medication, or we, grab some caffeine, or we go take a nap because I'm tired, and then just keep going along our merry way instead of stopping and thinking, what might be wrong with me? Why am I getting so tired every afternoon, right? Why am I having, constipation? Why is this rash here all of a sudden? Or why do I have eczema? Or why am I allergic to X, Y, and Z? You might be able to tell your doctor that. Doctor might diagnose you with something, might give you a treatment, whatnot. But all in all, if you don't find the root cause of what's causing it and then try to fix it, that issue could just exacerbate into something worse and worse and worse. So our bodies do actually have a dashboard, just like our cars do. The problem is, how well are we doing in essentially listening and paying attention to those indicators and doing something about it to truly fix that root cause instead of just covering up a symptom. So full circle then, why am I doing this video? So my goals have always been, I've been interested in the, fitness and athletic world for a long time. It's just something that's always been part of my life, as you all know. Then really after sports were over, try to stay in shape. I feel better when I'm, active. And frankly, just like most people, I didn't want to gain weight. When I had kids, I wanted to make sure I could maintain a certain body weight. And typically that's always what's top of mind for people when they first start out and wanting to, diet and exercise. It's typically weight. It's what you see on the outside. And then the more I got involved in training and learned about all these different fitness routines and found things like CrossFit, when I actually had a coach, I learned a lot more about nutrition and how important nutrition is. Nutrition is the, bottom layer of any fitness or health pyramid that you might see. So I got more involved in, understanding nutrition and how to maintain, what I eat, what types of food am I eating. I tried every single diet that's out there, whether it's, paleo and keto, and I've counted my macros and I've counted my calories. I've done all that stuff. And it's been very interesting. I've done tons of challenges where you cut out carbs or you go low carb and all this stuff. And I don't follow any one thing per se right now, other than I try to eat as healthy as I can and as clean as I can. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And there's absolutely foods that I've totally cut out, but I've been experimenting for the last 6 or 7 years with what works for me and what works for my lifestyle, and still allows me to have the things that I really enjoy every now and then as what I would call an intentional treat, intentional cheat. I don't like to call them cheats. I just like to, this is just the way I eat, right? So in that, I was really surprised with one diet that I tried. I don't like to call it a diet, but it was a program that I was on, and it was all about macros and calories. and you were supposed to eat like 6 or 7 times a day. And I was measuring my food, I was weighing my food, tracking, what was a carb versus versus a fat versus a protein. And it was weird because I got frustrated in that they didn't differentiate between good carbs and bad carbs, or the nutrients that you're supposed to put in your body, or anything. It was just, as long as you fit this profile of this number of carbs, fats, and protein per day, you were going to lose weight. And I absolutely did. I lost exactly the weight that I wanted to lose, and it's all scientific, and it's because it's all about calories in and calories out. And in that balance of carbs, fats, and protein, your macronutrients, it makes it easy. Tons of people in the fitness industry follow that. But what frustrated me was they were talking about eating Skittles in the middle of a workout. That's your intra workout carb. And I didn't understand that. And they didn't really focus on, any of the the foods that are higher in nutrients and whatnot. So it was very strange. And then I was going back and watching some videos and doing some challenges with a woman who was a CrossFitter and became a functional nutrition therapist. And her videos were fascinating to me because they finally explained the why behind, why you need to watch your macros, for example, and how your body works, and how you digest your food, and what this thing called leaky gut is, and what it means. And it fascinated me to the point where I'm like, all right, I've got to keep that in my back pocket. And eventually just got to a point where I'm now beyond trying to just maintain a weight. I want to be healthy. I want to live. I was going through stages of having headaches on a regular basis, whether it be due to stress or who knows why, and having to take naps and having some kind of just nervous feelings a lot. And I'm trying to figure out what was causing that. And I'm hearing things all over the place with friends, family, and whatnot who are having medical issues and realize they're not being told to change the way that they eat or what they put in their bodies. Nothing. It's just, here's your treatment. This is what we're going to do for you medically or surgically or whatever it is. Then go about your merry way and don't worry about taking care of yourself. And that's really bothersome to me. So I got into this functional nutrition alliance program. I love it. I love the woman who teaches it. And it's all about trying to help people get healthy from the very beginning. So finding the root cause of what's really happening in your body, going back to the basics of how your body works, and just understanding how your body works to begin with. And it all starts with digestion. So it all starts with the way you fuel your body is what you put in your mouth, and then how your body's able to use what you put in your mouth and absorb it. That's your fuel, right? That's the only way you're going to live, is if you eat and drink. And then how your body uses all that and deals with all the other environmental factors that are coming into your body, all relate to then what's going on in your body, and the symptoms you might see that are trying to be those indicators saying something is wrong. You are overloading me. Please stop. And all the interviews and things I've read so far and what I'm learning take us all the way back to some very basics of how you digest your food. It all comes back to the gut first, no matter what. And so what I wanted to share with all of you, and this is a long one because I'm trying to explain, really why and why I'm so passionate about this. I didn't want to wait until I was done with this program to share the things that I'm learning, because they're so simple and they're so logical and they're easy to put in place, and you don't have to start with any kind of strict diet. But it's just very basics. And frankly, anything that you do that you want to change, it all has to be relative to what your goals are. It all comes back to your goals. How do you want to feel? How do you want to live on a daily basis? And if you thought you could make a change to that for the better, what would that be? What would that look like? And why? Because you won't want to do any of this if you don't have any goals. And that's okay too. If you're totally fine with living the way you are, that's great. But I'd really like you to listen, because maybe there's some things that you might feel fine now, but it might teach you what to look for in the future. It might teach you some little things that you could do to prevent some potential issues in the future. So I guess my goal for you, and that's why I'm calling it, a health maintenance protocol, is that you don't want to wait until you have issues. You want to put in place some of these things now, so that you don't even end up with any of those symptoms and have to go backwards and start from scratch while you're uncomfortable. So that's what this is about. It's health maintenance. There's going to be some different things we'll talk about each week, so that you can learn how your body works and why I would suggest some of this stuff. I'm not just going to throw things at you to do and track and challenge you to do it and whatnot. I want to help you understand why. So basically, where we're going to start is with your goals. So I'd like you to think about your own health. Think about what you'd like to change and see changed, and just write it down. And you don't have to share it with me if you don't want to, but for your own purposes, write it down. So everything this week is really just going to be about writing down how you feel and what your goals are. So the other thing I want you to start doing is tracking. And I know this seems really annoying, but if you don't know what you're putting in your body, and then you don't know how you feel, and you don't have information about some of the indicators about how well your body might be digesting something, then you're not going to know what you might need to do or what your goals even are. Maybe you don't even recognize the fact that you're thoroughly fatigued at 2:00 in the afternoon because you're just used to grabbing another cup of coffee at that time. Well, maybe there's a reason you're fatigued at 2:00 in the afternoon beyond just the stress of your day, that you need to address, and you could address in a different way. So there's this chart, if you can read it. It's called the Food Mood Poop Journal. We are going to talk about poop. Just deal with it. So you have food, mood, poop, and then down the side there's 6 rows. Basically it's your upon wake, mid-morning, lunch, mid-afternoon, dinner, and then nighttime if you eat anything at night. But it's just to break up your day in writing down, what did you eat? It doesn't have to be in grave detail. You have to measure anything, but generally write down what you ate. It's some level of specificity. Then mood is, how do you feel generally? So it's not, are you happy, sad, even though that could be part of it, especially if you do have days where you're just like, you get really angry. Anger is something that, really inside can cause, depending on what your body's doing and feeling. You can just get angry because some things aren't working really well. So mood is, do I have a headache? Or, maybe I broke out in the morning and I want to write down that I had a breakout overnight. Anything that seems abnormal or is making you uncomfortable, or if you feel great, write down that you're feeling great. And then poop. You're like, well, what am I supposed to write down there? Number 1, write down that you did. And then number 2, there's something called a Bristol stool chart that basically is a number 1 to 5 of what your stool looked like. And really it goes from what really constipated is to diarrhea. So if you can give it a 1 to 5 of, really hard and more constipated, pellets as a 1, diarrhea as a 5, as you can imagine, you typically would want to be more like a 3, right in the middle, right? A diver, as they called it in my class. Like basically it means it slid out really easy, it dove right into the toilet, and you're good to go. No, not difficult. So if it's anywhere in between where it was a little more runny versus really hard, then make it a 1 or 2 versus a 3 in the middle. So pretty easy, but it's important to know that. I'll share with you, because you're all my family and friends who might be watching this, that I learned through this process that I basically have had chronic constipation for as long as I can remember. And I just thought it was normal. I thought it was normal that it didn't matter if I went to the bathroom every few days. And that when I did, it wasn't that easy to go. So I've spent a lot of my time over the last few months trying to track that and understand what's causing it, and then working through some potential solutions for it in many different ways, both lifestyle and what I'm eating and supplements. And I've gotten better, but I still run into it every now and then. So at least now I'll have a couple weeks in a row where I'll be just fine daily. But then I'll run into a situation where I'll go for a couple days and I don't know why, and it's because I've stopped tracking. So you're only going to know and be able to kind of track and see a trend if you actually write some things down. So that's all I'm going to ask you to do right now is just write down what's going on with your body based on and what you're eating. So like I said, it'll help us track some trends, what types of food you are getting, maybe what types of food you're not getting in, but also how you feel is really important. You'll recognize it more if you have to write it down. So that's my ask of you this week. And you can see on the bottom too, if you also want to pay attention to what time you go to bed, when you wake up, it's really important generally to obviously get good sleep. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. And then about how much water you're drinking throughout the day. So those are other things that you could start to write down. But I'd love to see you guys do that daily for the next week until we talk. And then you may want to continue for a while after that. And then next week we'll start with some actual tips and changes that you can start making. And I'm just going to do 1 or 2 at a time every week. All right. Next video won't be quite as long, I promise. Thanks.